fantastic panel. I just want to make two announcements. One is that we have Amir, please Amir, who is immigration lawyer. If anybody wants to go and talk to him, he is available for anyone who has some questions. There will be also Angela, who is, here she is. But she'll be on the panel, but you can also talk to her afterwards. And I have also a very good news to share that our friend now, Fatimata, was granted asylum last Wednesday. Okay, Tanzania. And my colleague, Emma Myers, who is the lead program manager, has a few announcements too.
Sure. So as Maria said, we have everyone here on the panel to talk to you all about education resources, which is obviously the reason you're here today. We have the lawyers who can speak to you about legal issues related to education or not. But if you have any other questions during the presentation, please feel free to come up to Maria, myself. Lynn in the back is doing check-in. Madeline, if you could give a wave. Madeline's right there in the back. And then Fabienne, if you could give a wave as well. And then I know Anne is here. Anne as well. All of us are resources for you. So if you have any questions, please find us afterwards. Sure. So on the PowerPoint, you'll see if you want to sign up for a legal consultation to have a fuller conversation with the attorney than today will allow, please go to the link and sign up. You can also look for resources on our website. That's where we're going to post the video from today's presentation. Please follow us on social media. And then those are our emails, Maria's, Tanzalia's, and mine. So if you have a question that comes up later, you can always email us to ask. Cool. Thank you.
Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's. Yeah, I'm wearing the red dress. Happy holiday. I love you all. Thank you for coming. As Maria mentioned, that I consult on education issues at RIF, and many people know me because I help to prepare college applications. I consult on choosing the colleges and the funding as well. And I was so thrilled to learn that my alma mater, Columbia University, launched this new big program for asylum seekers and refugees in the world to come study at Columbia, and I invited the representative today. We have also other programs that we'll talk today about, and also about legal issues related to the visa and asylum and refugee status if you go to university, so what you have to consider. After presentations, you can ask questions as a group, or you can approach us individually and ask questions. I speak Russian, so I can consult in Russian too. So I will introduce our very, very great guest today. It's Paul Hirsch from Columbia University, Linda Amdu, right? She's also from Columbia, from this new scholarship for displaced students. We have Sylvia Racine. She represents World Education Services. We have Angela, who will talk about legal issues related to student status and refugee status. We have Robin Vacara, who is leading the initiative called Center for New Immigrant Education at NYU. Some of you may be familiar because we sent some information about that. And Anastasia from CUNY is running late, but she'll join us too. So each of the speakers will come to the podium, and we'll have time for questions. After all presentation finished, then we'll have questions. Please keep your questions, write them down, and then share with us after presentation. So we'll have very short 10 minutes presentation from each person. Okay, you guys, we'll start with Columbia program.
Hi everyone. Can everyone hear me, see me? Thank you very much for this opportunity today to speak to you. I think it's very appropriate that we're gathered here today on Valentine's Day because I think we're all here together today in the spirit of love and community and support. So thank you for joining us today to talk about, for us, the Columbia University Scholarship for Displaced Students. First of all, my name is Paul Hirsch. I am Director for Strategic Planning Communications with Columbia's Global Centers. We have many campuses around the world in 10 countries around the world. And I'd also like to introduce Linda. Please introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Linda Amro. I'm an immigration attorney by training. I was working during the height of the Trump travel ban in the Bronx with the Yemeni and Latino communities before I moved to the Global Centers to do work on forced migration, where I now serve as the program officer. It's wonderful to be with you all.
So in early December, Columbia launched the scholarship that I assume you all have heard about. I'll go through the slides fairly briefly to allow a maximum amount of time for Q&A at the end. So the scholarship program that we just launched supports up to 30 displaced students every year to attend Columbia. So this year the max will be 30, then next year we might have 60, 90, etc. It's not only 30, it adds 30 every year. All 18 of Columbia's schools are participating in the scholarship. So you can apply for a BA, an MA, an MD, PhD, JD, MBA, etc. There's over 135 degree programs offered through the scholarship, and that is across the 18 schools. And scholarships are full cost of attendance, so students will not be expected to pay for anything. It's a full scholarship, full ride for Columbia. Tuition, room, board, etc. So scholarships are for refugees, asylees, and asylum seekers, or those in the U.S. on TPS, temporary protected status, and they're open to students from or living anywhere in the world. So there's no nationality or citizenship requirements, other than, I guess, not being American. This is Columbia's first ever university-wide scholarship, and this is also the world's first university-wide scholarship for displaced students. So this is the framework for the scholarship. These are the schools with undergraduate degrees. So those are your BA degrees. Columbia College, the School of Engineering and Applied Science, School of General Studies, which is for non-traditional undergrads. So we have a lot of overage students in their 20s or 30s that didn't get a bachelor's degree. Many of them attend the School of General Studies, and then Barnard College, which is an affiliate school. It's a women's only university at Columbia. These are all the graduate degree schools. I'm not going to go through all of them, but these are the other participants in the scholarship. So you can just see the list here, and under each program there's a number of degree programs at each school, and this is how we get to 135 degree programs. So across these schools there's JDs, MBAs, PhDs, a lot of degrees, basically. So these are all the participating schools. These are the application details if you're curious and if you would like to apply. I can answer more questions about these or go into more detail later. First of all, the scholarship is only open to those who are accepted to Columbia. So you have to apply to Columbia and be accepted, and then you will be eligible for the scholarship. Students are only evaluated for the scholarship if you're admitted. So this is an important thing to remember. We're not looking at the scholarship application separately. It's only if you're admitted, then we review the scholarship applications. The criteria for admissions to Columbia are the same as for all the other students. There's no special criteria under the scholarship program. The deadline for the scholarship program, it's all listed online, but you have to apply for the scholarship by the deadline of the program. Only the degree programs listed on the website are eligible, and I'll go through a list so you can see the website. And just to note, scholarships are limited and very competitive, so students may be admitted to Columbia and not receive funding through the scholarship. So that's just an important point. Just very briefly, we have a video, but I may come back to that. Just to run through some of the materials. This is the website about, we can skip all that. There's eligibility criteria if you're curious about specific types of eligibility. These are the application process, scholarship benefits. And I imagine this link will be shared out later. And these are all the schools that are participating in all of the eligible degree programs. And just to highlight one, so this is the College of Dental Medicine. These are all the eligible degree programs, and then it has the associated deadline as well. So there's no one deadline for the scholarship. The deadline for your scholarship application is the deadline for your degree program. So this is an important detail. It's not everything is due January 1st. Some degree programs are due in May or June, others are due in December. So depending on the program that you're interested in applying for, it's very important to check the specific programs. And as you can see, these are all the programs. This is the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. This has 44 degree programs that are eligible, which are all listed here. And you'll see that each one has a different deadline. So it's very important to be aware of the specific deadline and program for your specific for your specific degree that you're applying for. I'll just run through this quickly so everyone has a sense of the information page. And then to apply, there's a separate scholarship application form, which is loading. And this is, the form we hope is very easy. These are submission instructions. There's a frequently asked questions, which are all listed here. And then this is the application form. It's actually a very simple form, just some biographical details, and then there's 4 short essays, 300 words, and that's the entire application. So the application itself is fairly light. The main part of the application is the degree application to get into Columbia. So if you're interested in applying for the scholarship, we say 98% of your time should be spent applying to Columbia, and then 2% of your time should be, these aren't set numbers, they're just an example. The majority of your time should be spent applying to Columbia because you will need your transcripts, your standardized tests. Some schools have a TOEFL requirement, undergrad or grad GPA, transcript, that sort of thing. And then this, as you see, is a fairly light application process. As a note though, we only look at these applications for students that are admitted to Columbia. And that's an important point. So that's the application form. And there's a video which I won't show right now, just for time. If we have time at the end, I can review that, and that is our scholarship program. I think there's no questions, right?
There may be some questions. Yeah.
Or are we doing questions at the end?
What do you think?
I think we should keep the questions at the end, otherwise the time will,
Okay.
so let's have all
Yeah.
presentations first.
What I know is
People
that
have
some
millions of
people
questions.
has already applied and maybe they want to share their experience, you know. But it's exactly as you say, afterwards.
Yeah, and if there's any specific questions for specific degree programs, schools, application questions, anything like that, we're happy to help. We've been modifying the form a little for those of you that I guess have checked in the past, just to make sure it's a more efficient process, and really aligning the applications with the schools. But I don't want to get into the details unless people have specific questions. So Linda and I will be sticking around to say hi and meet with anyone. So thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you to all of you for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing some or many or all of you at Columbia soon. So thank you.
Thank you.
When you apply for any degree, Columbia or other universities, usually you have to bring proof of your education from your own country, from high school, grade school to bachelor degree, whatever degrees you have. So that's the issue, that you have to evaluate the degree. And Sylvia Russin, she's from World Education Services, they provide this service and other services to immigrants and the refugees, so she will talk about this in more detail.
Do you have the clicker? Great, thank you. Okay, hi everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. My name is Sylvia. I'm from World Education Services from the Global Talent Bridge program, and I'll be telling you a little bit about how to make your education from abroad count in the U.S. So today's conversation will be very brief. I'll try to keep it to 10 minutes. We'll begin with a very brief introduction to what we do at West Global Talent Bridge. Then we'll focus the rest of the presentation telling you a little bit about credential evaluation and recognition. And then I'll share some local resources that could be helpful for your job search. So for those of you who are not familiar with World Education Services, or WES for short, we are a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to helping people who have international qualifications or professional experience. The most common thing that we're known for is for the evaluation of international credential qualifications. But Global Talent Bridge is a program at WES that develops tools and works with different types of organizations across the country that serve skilled immigrants. And by skilled immigrants, we mean immigrants, refugees, and asylees who are work authorized and who have acquired their international education or professional experience outside of the U.S. Even if you're not work authorized yet, I think this presentation will still be very helpful for you in planning for when you do receive your authorization. So we know that a common problem that skilled immigrants face is that a lot of employers, schools, universities, and licensing boards just don't recognize their international qualifications. So the next few slides are dedicated to unpacking the difference between these two terms on the screen, evaluation and recognition. And hopefully that will provide you with some guidance if you do decide to take steps towards an evaluation. So it's important to understand the difference, primarily because depending on what you want to use your credential evaluation for, it's going to determine whether an organization like WES or perhaps some other agency is best for you. So an evaluation is just the report. Typically when someone wants to go back to school, apply for a job, or apply for a license, they will be asked to demonstrate that they have met some basic requirements, basic competency or academic requirements. So the evaluation is a way to show that you have met those. Now, the recognition of that credential is taken by the institution. So that's the employer, the school, or the licensing board. While services like WES can definitely provide an evaluation, at the end of the day, it is really the person on the other end, meaning the university or the employer, that decides whether or not they will accept your credential, totally or just in part. So hopefully the difference between those two is a little more clear. So what does an evaluation really do? As listed on the slide, it's really a tool for you to advocate for the recognition of your education. It compares your international education to a similar degree here in the US. At WES, you can request two types of credential evaluations, and again, this depends on what you want to use your evaluation for. Usually for those wanting to go back to school or apply for a license, you'll want a course-by-course evaluation which lists all of your courses and grades. For those looking to use their evaluation for employment purposes, you'd probably want a document-by-document evaluation which simply states what your degree is equivalent to. Here's a preview of a course-by-course evaluation report. As you can see, more or less see because it's small. Each course is listed and the grade for that course is listed, and on the bottom there's a degree equivalency. The evaluation process usually takes 7 days. However, we strongly recommend you build in more time because it really depends on the case. So two important things I want to stress. One, the steps that you will take in applying for a credential evaluation will depend on the country where you got your education from, and the type of evaluation you are requesting, whether it's a course-by-course or document-by-document. And two, you will need to submit official documents in English. And you can go on our website and learn a little bit more about what we mean by official and all of the required steps that you would have to take. So this next slide talks about the common uses of a credential evaluation. Just for time purposes, I'll just let you look at this. Really, there's 3: higher education, licensing, and employment. And I'll jump a little bit more into depth about them here. So for an evaluation for educational purposes, if you want to go back to school, you need to know that each university and college and even program within that university or college has very different requirements. Whether you're going full-time or part-time, or you're studying online or on campus, all of those requirements will be very different. So the first step for you is to contact that university or school and ask them what the requirements are before you get an evaluation. Often, an educational institution might also have its own credential evaluation service that it insists that you use in order to be in that program. So you wouldn't want to waste your time and money getting an evaluation from a place like WES or a similar agency if that educational institution has their own. Now, if you are using an evaluation for licensing purposes, you might be required to sit for exams, in which case you have to qualify, you have to meet some basic academic requirements, or there could be some work hours, practicums, or internships that have to be evaluated. So our credential evaluation can actually provide proof of that and allow you to sit for those exams and proceed with the licensing process. Again, each state is going to have very different requirements, so we recommend that if anybody is seeking licensure or any type of national certification, you need to first contact your state board or association to get clarity on what is needed based on your country of education. And now, if you're using your evaluation for employment purposes, you might want to include language about your credential evaluation on your resume. And here's some sample language on the screen. As you can see, you list out your education, and right underneath you can write the name of your university, the name of the agency like WES that evaluated it, and what the equivalency was. We suggest this because you're going to get questions from HR or employers or hiring managers about your university. So this really helps dismiss those types of questions and avoids that. It's also just helpful to have there so that they understand that you do have a credential evaluation. A lot of times, employers and direct hiring managers are still unaware that a credential evaluation even exists. They don't know that there's a way to evaluate foreign credentials. So listing it on your resume also helps them understand that. Other times, a credential evaluation might be required for a specific job, but the employer or the hiring manager just doesn't list it in the job description. So it's also helpful that you have this here just in case there is an academic requirement and it's just not listed on the description. Here's some tips when you're choosing your credential evaluation service. It's important because the WES evaluation might not always be the right one. There might be some other agency, depending on what you want to use your evaluation for, that could be a better fit. Because there is no universally accepted credential evaluation service in the US. That said, check with your school, check with your employer, your licensing board about the requirements, and if you learn that you actually need a credential evaluation, make sure you ask them what evaluation services they recommend or accept. The costs of the WES evaluation depend on what you request. I'll share a link to our website a little bit later where you can actually see the exact prices, but the range is between $100 and $200. The last point is there's a really great resource on this slide called NYC's, and it really lists out all of the reliable credential evaluation services. So if you are unsure what your long-term goals are, or you just want to get an evaluation as a step in the right direction, just make sure that you're going through a credible service and refer to this NYC's website so that it's not a scam. Now, we also realize that there are individuals who are displaced, such as refugees, asylees, and asylum seekers, who had to flee or leave their home countries, and oftentimes they don't have their complete academic documentation in hand. Other times, we know that maybe they fled and grabbed it, and they have it with them here. So we can certainly try to work with them. And one of the ways we're doing this is through this WES Gateway program. And the WES Gateway program was first launched in Canada, and we are currently testing it here in the US and planning for its expansion later this year. The eligibility criteria for this program, if you are interested, is on the screen. And if you are interested in staying informed about Gateway and all other WES resources, I'm going to pass out a sign-up sheet, if that's okay, Tanzania. So you can just sign up. Okay. And the last thing I want to mention, I did show you that NYC's website right over here a little bit earlier, and includes that whole list of reputable websites where you can get your credential evaluation. Many of them don't actually require complete documentation. So if you don't have it, some of the agencies on that list don't actually require it. So if you're having a lot of trouble with it, try a different agency, but always make sure that that agency that you choose is accepted by the end user, meaning accepted by that university or state licensing board or employer. All right, now I'll move on to some resources that could be helpful for your job search. First and foremost, we always recommend networking. It's an opportunity for you to meet other people, learn about what's out there, learn about jobs, just general information that you can exchange with friends or strangers. You can do this anywhere by volunteering, going online on websites that we suggest here like LinkedIn and Meetup, joining a sports team, or maybe connecting with people at school or at your local religious institution. You can also do this through different free programs in the city. These are some programs that we highly recommend, some of our partners. All of these are totally free of cost. You can meet others who are in a similar situation as you are, but it also gives you a chance to get the training you might need in English or in career preparation to help you get that job that you want. Finally, this slide shows a little bit of the resources that we have on our website. We have webinars, lots of webinars. Some are very job specific, others are broad about how to start your job search. We also have 10 career pathways guides that are free to download. Now these guides are primarily helpful for those of you looking into licensing because a lot of those are in regulated professions. So the guides spotlight success stories, provide guidance on how to re-enter your profession or a similar one in the US in occupations like healthcare, IT, nursing, engineering. I've also included on the bottom right-hand side a link to our tool that you can use to get more or less of an idea of what your education is equivalent to in the US before you even get an evaluation. So if you're just curious more or less what your degree translates to, you can use this really cool tool. And last thing I included here is the fees. You can actually see exact prices for the exact evaluation that you want. So I don't think we're doing Q&A, but I hope that was very helpful. If you have any questions, please email me on this email address on the screen. And please feel free to sign up on our sign-up sheet if you would like more information about either that Gateway program or just our things in general. I also have two colleagues here, right over there standing. If you have any questions for us, we do have a Spanish speaker too, so feel free to approach us.
Fabienne is showing the brochures.
Yes, we also have a table with lots of fun swag. We have bags, brochures. Feel free to grab some. Thank you.
I will ask Robin maybe to continue. It's a lot of information, but please write your questions. I hope we'll have a good discussion. Yeah, I'm trying to see here.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be here to see all of you, and thank you to Tanzania and Maria for inviting me to talk about the Center for New Immigrant Education. My name again is Robin Bacara, and I'm a clinical assistant professor at the English Language Institute. The English Language Institute is housed in the School of Professional Studies at New York University, and it's there that we have launched the Center for New Immigrant So we're offering courses to asylum seekers, asylees, and resettled refugees. And these are advanced English language skills that I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. I think that we have some of our former students, at least one or two of our former students, oh great, here today. So maybe you will have the chance to talk with them about the courses. The research that we did for the center just really highlighted the need for what we're doing. I'll skip that because I don't have to go into detail about it, but basically a full-time faculty group got together and thought we should do something with the English language teaching that we do here that can help the community. And so we did research and found that there really was a great need for English language skills, and especially high-level English language skills. The CNIE is committed to providing students those English language skills for free so that they can reach their professional goals and their academic goals. And in order to identify our first cohort, we began to collaborate outside of the ELI, outside of the English Language Institute, with colleagues from RIF, so Maria and Tanzilia, and also with a colleague from the Silver School of Social Work. And that's where we began to look at what the needs of our students might be beyond English language. So, let's see. So I'll focus on the English language part of what we're offering first, and then talk a little bit about our goals for other resources for students. So the courses that we offer are, again, very advanced level courses. What we found was that most of the programs out there for English language learning stop at a certain level. They don't get to a very advanced level of English language proficiency. And our course is really a course for near native speakers. So really a course that can allow advanced language speakers to make the progress that they need to in order to be able to fulfill their potential in the workplace or in an academic setting. So the courses are all 4 skills: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And students work on things like how to write emails, proposals, requests for information, communication style in the workplace, vocabulary and fluency, facilitating a discussion, mastering small talk, the things that you really need to be able to succeed in the career that you're pursuing or in the academic studies that you're pursuing. The courses are 12-week sessions, so it's a full semester session. And as I said, we launched our first session in the fall. We have another course that's taking place now for spring semester. We have 15 to 18 students in each class, so they're very small classes. We've actually changed to 60 contact hours. So we got feedback from students and realized that it would be helpful to have some more time in the classroom. The courses are taught by TESOL faculty, so they're my colleagues at NYU. And we also are collaborating, and this is where we've tried to begin to pursue other resources for students beyond the classroom, to leverage New York University and its rich resources, and also resources in the community, like RIF. So we have a social worker intern from the Silver School of Social Work who is there to support students as well. So students can email her, they can write to her, and they can find out more about resources. And Tanzilia is actually working very closely with our intern to help her gather those resources and provide information to our students. We will also begin to look for ways to offer career counseling through NYU for our students and to make those bridges within the university to provide support for the students who attend classes at the center. The way that we select our students is first through an assessment. So our full-time faculty do an English language assessment for each student who comes to our information sessions prior to a semester. It generally consists of an interview and a writing portion, a grammar test, and we try to make sure that the students that we're admitting to the program are really at that advanced level for the classes. So we first select students based on their level, and then if we have more students at that level of proficiency, we will have a lottery for selection. Students are then contacted and can decide whether they'd like to attend our course, and it's free of cost. So we're hoping that this program will expand perhaps beyond advanced English language proficiency levels, and certainly to offer resources beyond the English language classroom to be able to use the different offices and the different resources that we have at NYU to support students as they pursue their academic and professional careers. So I will be here after this presentation to answer questions if any of you have questions. And if you don't mind, students who have attended courses at the ELI, could you just raise your hands? Okay, so there are a few students here who have already attended a class at the ELI, and they can maybe tell you more about what they gained from it. So thank you very much, and please feel free to ask me anything you would like after.
So the idea I invited all these universities today is to also to cooperate between each other, because I've been involved with NYU creating this bridging course, and I thought so we can work closely more with Columbia and CUNY probably to help each other. So because we're serving same audience, our audience are refugees of different statuses, so that's the idea also to network among with each other. Anastasia, she's a admission counselor at NYU. Some of you know her. She is very active. She sits at she sits at CUNY Welcome Center and helps our you guys helps our members very much. Thank you, Anastasia. Yes, we are ready to leave.
Hello everyone, again my name is Anastasia Maximenko and I'm admission counselor at CUNY Welcome Center, or we call it CUNY Central Office of Admissions. So I'm representing the CUNY, and if you don't know, CUNY is one university, 25 different colleges, and all of them located in all 5 boroughs of New York. So basically, if you decide to go to a college in our system, you will come to us, to a Welcome Center, which is located on the 42nd Street between 3rd and 2nd Avenue. And basically, we do provide all the information, what college to apply to, what is the process, what documents you need to submit, and so on. We have about 60 admission professionals, and all of them are speaking different languages: Russian, Chinese, French, Creole, also Bengali. So definitely, if you feel more comfortable speaking in your own language, or you have some friends who don't have English proficiency, they definitely can come to us and we can serve them in their own language. So the university is pretty big and we have a lot of programs and majors, and also we do, there's some money. Okay, so we do have 25 colleges, all of them divided in a few groups. One of them are community colleges, which are those 2-year colleges where you can get your associate degree. 4-year colleges, which we call senior colleges, where you get your bachelor degree, and some of the senior colleges have master's degree. And also we have a professional graduate school if you decide to go to a higher master and the PhD. So because it's a public institution, we have really, really amazing prices for you. All right, so definitely like 1 year in a 4-year college will cost you about $7,000. Some of the colleges it's about 1 semester pay for 1 class. We're not gonna name names. And basically, for 2-year colleges is about $5,000 a year. Again, so the tuition is very affordable, and again, for all the students who are in the process of getting your refugee status or asylum status, we do have financial aid and all the scholarships for you, so that even this amount you will not have to pay. So, and that is why some of the students is basically graduate debt-free, and attend 65% of them attend tuition-free. So basically, it's a huge campus. Some of the colleges, Baruch, Lehman, John Jay College, LaGuardia, Kingsborough. Those are the colleges that is a part of CUNY system, and basically you can come to our office to apply to any of those colleges. Definitely, we have some colleges in the boroughs, in the Manhattan. It's like a range of colleges that you can apply to. So again, because it's very diverse university, you will find that you have a class with the students who are from your own country. That's how you find friends. That's how you create connection. This is very important, and I believe in the network of all the immigrants that will support and help each other. That's my vision for 2020. Okay, so definitely whatever you decide to study, because again it's a huge university, we have a lot of different majors. And if you started studying something in your country and you stopped, or maybe you already have a bachelor degree and you want to change that, definitely look into our majors. Nursing is the most popular one, and we do provide very good programs in nursing. But we have lots of different majors where you can apply, transfer your credits from your previous institution, and finish university fast. Get your bachelor degree or master's degree, PhD, whatever you decide to get basically professionally. Also, we have a lot of support programs. Again, I want to repeat that CUNY, City University of New York, accepts students regardless their immigration status. And I'm gonna repeat again, regardless your immigration status. Undocumented, documented, in the process of getting asylum, citizens, anyone can apply to CUNY, can be accepted and study at the CUNY. So that is why, even if you have friends who are like, I'm not gonna go to a college until I get this green card. No, just tell them that CUNY will accept you even without that plastic card. So also, students, we provide a lot of support. Again, some of the students, the main barrier is the English language. And again, even though if you think, okay, my level or the level of my friends and family is not enough for them to go to college, again, we do provide a lot of support. Even we admit you on the base of your high school diplomas, on the base of your degrees, or on the base of your grades from your previous education. And once you're admitted to a college, that's when we provide you English assessment test. And if you fully fail, it's okay. it's okay to fail because we're here to support you and provide you all the language support, math support, whatever you need, basically for you to have great educational experience here. Also, we have some honors program. We're not going to talk about that, but if you have more questions about that, we can talk after our event. Okay, so this one is actually for high school students, but again, college, for some of us, we think that college is this pathway to a better future, and it's a lot of work, sometimes it's a lot of money, but in the same time, I will tell you that college can be fun. And I myself, originally from Kazakhstan, I started study psychology in my university. I finished only 3 years. I transferred here to Hunter College, and I finished my bachelor degree at Hunter College. I went to study abroad in Japan. I was vice president of Haitian drumming club. So basically, I had my fun, even though I was older than all the students around me. But again, it was really fun. So definitely, you know, look at the college not only from that side that, okay, it's too much work, it's studying and spending money and time. Sometimes it's really cool. And again, you create a connection, you see people, you have those professors who can send you to internship or offer you a job in the department. So there's a lot of different opportunities while you're in the college. Some of the campuses has dorms. Again, this is very specific for some students. If you really want that college experience, we can talk about it after the presentation. And again, I can tell you that because you're studying at CUNY, you're studying in New York City. New York City is just full of opportunities around us. And this is all the companies where our students are actually working. So definitely sometimes from our mentality from back home, okay, I need to go to the most prestigious university, so that's how I get somewhere else. Here in the United States, I cannot say that some of the universities are more prestigious than another one, and it's just like you find your own fit, you find your college that fits you. But I can tell you that if you're in CUNY, you have a lot of opportunities because we have a lot of partnerships with the companies and even with other colleges. And basically, I'm gonna go right to the end. Once you decide to apply or you have any questions, definitely this is my information. I have a bunch of cards with me today. The thing is that students come to our CUNY Welcome Center sometimes just with questions, what should I do with my life? And this is okay, this question is valid, and definitely we have people who can not only tell you, okay, that's the process of you getting to a college, but also just tell you, where's the best sushi in New York. But anyway, I'm trying to say that like any type of support you need, we do provide it because again, it's a large university and we do have a lot of opportunities for you. That would be it, I think.
Well, we'll finish this panel with Angela's presentation about the legal repercussions. I will not scare people, but when you go to college, many people have student visas, many people have different statuses. And sometimes lawyers advise against applying for financial aid because it's using public money, and many people are scared. People who apply for DREAM Act, New York State has a DREAM Act, and many of you actually can qualify, get tuition from this public program to cover your tuition at CUNY and SUNY systems. But again, I hope Angela will answer some of these questions.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. First of all, I want to apologize for arriving late, but I just want to say how happy I am to be here to speak to you about immigration, which is a topic that is, I think, important for, all of us here. We're the country of immigrants, as well as for, students who want to, seek further education here. So I also want to say thank you for I'm so happy to follow Anastasia because I too am a CUNY graduate. I started coming here from the Philippines. I really didn't know what my options are, and so I started at a community college at LaGuardia. Then I moved to City College, and then eventually a professor from City College told me to apply for law school. So here I am, and I'm so happy to be here. Okay, great. So I guess I'm just gonna start with immigration. So I think one thing that we've seen in our practice, and my colleague and partner is Amir Rasulpur, is all the way there in the back. So we're both, we'll be happy to answer any questions after. But what I want to actually, I guess, start off with is a lot of people, when they come here, they think that, okay, I'm on B status and, I can stay here and, change my status at any time, right? I think one thing that we want to tell people is that you have to be, when you enter, you get a stamp on your passport with an authorized period of stay. So that stamp actually determines how long you can stay here in the US with authorization from the government. So you have to really be aware of that time constraint. Because basically that's the period that you have in the United States where you can still change or extend your status. So for relevant to our discussion today, it would be, for example, you're in tourist visa status and you want to change to student status. So you have that time to do the application, to apply for an extension or change of status. Because after that 6-month period, you are now no longer in status. So what does this mean, right? So this means that if you apply to immigration after that period, you're no longer in status, so your application will be denied. However, I want to say that this shouldn't cause, if right now you're beyond your 6-month authorized period of stay, this should not cause panic, right? Because what I always tell clients is, if there's a problem, there's always a solution. So you always have to be you always have to think about, how you can think positively and how to move forward with your situation. So I mentioned being out of status. So this means that, for example, you entered the United States with a visa and overstayed, right? And this is a fairly common scenario. People don't really have the guidance that they need when they come here. So they think that, I have a 10-year multiple entry visa, so I can stay here for 10 years. So as I mentioned earlier, that's just not the case. There are other regulations that actually govern your stay here. So it's really important to seek the help of an immigration attorney or someone who's knowledgeable, like another legal representative, to give you proper advice. I also want to say, and Anastasia actually touched on this, that being out of status or being undocumented should not be a barrier to getting education. For example, there are, Tanzania mentioned the DREAM Act, and there are other, as Anastasia alluded to on her presentation, there are schools that actually protect and offer services and aid to undocumented students. So really, I think, what I've learned through practicing in immigration is that, education is empowering, right? And so despite your status, you should, and if you really want to seek higher education, if you want to finish college or get a GED, your status should not be a barrier. And, we live in the US, and I think at this point, right, we're so, I guess some of us, think so negatively about our status. But the truth is that we are still a land of opportunity. And, I think this event is really a testament to that we have, organizations that provide information and services to help people go for their American dreams. So I hope that, no matter what your status is, that you can still kind of go for your dream. Yeah. So, yeah. So I think one last thing that I want to say is on February 24th, there's a new public charge rule that may actually affect a population of the RIF community. So basically, if you're changing status from a non-immigrant status to another, you may be required to show that you have not been receiving any public benefits. So if you think that this may affect you, please seek myself or Amir for more in-depth consultation, or we can answer any questions. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you for all speakers. Now guys, your turn. And to kickstart our discussion, I actually have the first question to Paul and Linda about the support you provide. Because as you understand, Columbia schools are very competitive. I'm myself a Columbia graduate, and I was a beneficiary of full scholarship that paid for everything for me, for housing and stipend and everything. But I received a lot of training before. I mean, Columbia provided me with advanced academic English, with immersion classes to prepare me for graduate school at Columbia. I wonder if your new scholarship, what kind of help you provide to navigate your system of different Columbia schools, and what is your recommendation how to start Columbia process of application, and then so where people go from now, how to start the process, and what kind of help you can provide.
Sure. Should I answer from here?
Yeah, it's better you take
Yeah.
microphone.
Hi again. So our recommendation is first figure out what degree you want, because the requirements are very different for different degrees. We have seen some people just applying for 50 different degrees. You're not going to get accepted if that is what you do. So first of all, decide what degree you want and why. Look at the requirements, standardized tests. I mean, each school is very different, so familiarize yourself with the specific school and degree program requirements. These are all listed on each school's website. And then subsequent to that, also some schools have a TOEFL requirement, others don't. So the business school, for example, there's no TOEFL requirement. There's no minimum score. Other schools do. So be sure that you check the specifics for the degree program you're interested in. Review all the information. There is, on the scholarship website, I didn't mention this before, but we have an email that you can email with questions about the scholarship, and then you'll get a reply with a lot of information about it. That, as I mentioned, should be at the end of your process. Also, each school has a whole system of admissions officers. There's a number of information sessions. There's a number of admissions support. There is flexibility, I think this came up before, if you don't have your documentation, if it's not evaluated, I'm not sure of the right word, and you can work with specific admissions officers about this. If you're based in New York, you can attend a session in person and ask these questions directly, because each school is very specific in terms of their criteria and admissions processes. So some schools do offer English support before you start. The School of I won't get into too many specifics, but there are English language programs. Certain degree programs have math training, for example, if it's a math intensive course, or English support. In terms of completing the actual application, that would depend on the specific school, and that would be a question that you should ask your admissions representatives. Also, once you're on campus, for the scholarship students, we are developing wraparound services to support them once they're on campus for accepted students. Mentorship, professional development, job search and job support, those kinds of services, but those are for a bit later down the pipeline. Did that answer your question?
When is a good time to start the process? Like to start now or for next year?
It depends on the degree program. Some of the deadlines have passed. The college, for example, was in January. Although, because we do have direct relationships with each school, if you reach out to us, we are able to reach out to specific admissions officers at each school, and many of them are still accepting students, still accepting applications for degree programs. Often, classes are not set until school actually begins, so these are a bit flexible. That's not a commitment to anything, but there is some flexibility there. So if you wanted to apply for a degree and the deadline has passed, please reach out to us directly through the email on our website, and we can see what is possible. Some schools are very fixed in their deadlines. A lot of the medical programs have specific deadlines because they're part of sort of a national organization, the law school as well. But other schools have more flexibility in terms of their admissions. So again, it's really specific. But each deadline for the degrees are listed on the website that I showed earlier, so familiarize yourself with those deadlines. Get in touch with us if it's passed, and we will try and work with you on this. And each school, I should say, is very committed to this program. Actually, to create this program, it took about a year, and a lot of negotiations with each school individually, so they're very committed to this program and ensuring that it's successful. So many of them, where there is flexibility, have gone out of their way to accommodate people that are eligible for the scholarship.
So since we have you in person, let's have people ask questions here, and then maybe also see you. Anybody who has questions, how do we? We're going to start with this gentleman and you after. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Nazir, and my
Can you
question
speak
is
louder
to
so everybody listens?
Hi, Nazir.
yes. My question is to you, Paul, and then to Anastasia. Anastasia.
Don't worry, don't worry.
So I want to know if you have any special admission consideration for asylees and refugees, given that many of them have a different educational background, in order to give them a fair shot at the admissions process. Because you talked about the scholarship being available to only students who gain admissions, but then where the admissions criteria is the same as regular students who have a different kind of admissions background, do you have any special considerations for asylees and refugees regarding the admissions process? If not, do you have any plans of inculcating that in your program?
Sure. Certainly for each degree program, there are very few mandatory requirements. Some have an English requirement, for example, which I think is fairly inflexible. Others, the college is a little different for undergrad, but for a lot of the graduate schools, there's complete flexibility in terms of how they shape their class. So a lot of the schools in admissions are really looking at the entirety of a person. So I think seeing the background, this is why I said, if you can express yourself well for that degree program, that school, this program, then they look at the motivation, the history. Obviously, if you explain your situation in your application, there's essays, there's opportunities for providing additional information. You may want to explain why you don't have a document, for example, or, you know, I fled something in the middle of high school and that's why there's a gap in my transcript, or that's why my grades dipped. I'm making up the examples, but I hope the point is clear. Then they would understand that. And I think knowing the group of individuals that the scholarship is serving, I think they're really looking at these people in a very careful way. And certainly we can flag individual students. We do share a list of those who have applied. It's up to the schools if they want to compare that to when they're reviewing admissions applications. So I said earlier that the admissions criteria are the same, and that as a principle is true, but the admissions officers review every application, they read all the essays, they look at every person as an individual, and if the application is compelling, you know, maybe your average, you know, you had a poor GPA, but if there were circumstances that make you a compelling candidate, then they would look at that and certainly take that into consideration. I can't say that that would lead to admission because that's a school decision, but certainly they're looking at people as individuals and taking that into account. Did you want to?
Go ahead. No, I just wanted to ask a question actually. So.
Ask him a question.
No, you.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
The panel is asking me questions.
Because I'm counsel a lot of students, so that's information that I would then send to my clientele. Just a quick, I don't know if you mentioned during the application to specifically to Columbia, is there any question about immigration status that will stop them? Like for instance, they are undocumented and the application to a school doesn't have this, you know, like they would stop students